Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit, on the tanker, through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that...
So there I was, with the nose pointed towards a rock wall in front of me. I have a rescue specialist on the skid and the systems operators also on the skid to drive the cable for this vertical surface extraction. And I experienced a slight power loss due to the winds that came around the corner. So I had to abort a hoist at the very beginning of it in front of a sheer wall because I ran out of power.
That's only slightly terrifying. Oh my God.
And for Double D, he calls that Tuesday.
So I was seeing if I could find it. Guys, for those who are curious, down the road, I do have this rescue on Instagram. If you guys...
Oh, perfect. Okay.
We'll
get that, and we'll get that from you, and we'll get the link up on the website.
I thought I would throw that one in. It'll make sense later.
All right. Let me cover a couple of quick admin notes, if I might, please. And I haven't even started drinking yet, but I can't seem to talk. So this is episode 182. Don't have a title yet because we do that as we go. But last week and this week, Dix and I are co-hosting together, co-horsting as it were, and no preamble because I'm getting ready to go out on vacation and just don't have time to do it and to get it right. So this is it. This is the beginning of the show. Yeah, we're winging it as we go. We'll come up with a show title like we did with last week's show, my introduction to Arizona Talcum, right near the very end. But generally speaking, we get a show title in there somewhere. So we want to just start off up front by saying thank you to all of you who crack your wallets and give us money so we can keep these shows coming to you. It's deeply appreciated. So Repeat here, coming to you from New Hampshire, as is my co-host Styx. And you may recognize the voice of our guest this week from last week. So Styx, take it away.
We are graced with Double D, who is here with us he was a pilot for the Department of Public Safety, or Arizona Department of Public Safety.
Arizona State Trooper.
Yeah. And
another lawman, as it were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he knew the lawman. Probably not, but...
No, he would have been after, yeah.
It would have been well after, yeah. He last left off with us having two assailants face down, that he arrested from his helicopter in some serious badassery. But
the victim was face down too, but I guess you don't know who's whom.
I did apologize for that to her multiple times.
Yeah, I bet she was just happy you were there.
She actually calls me her angel. So
there you go.
But you know what's actually really cool, because we weren't able to show the video for this, but there is a moment where you actually, here you are like arresting the bad guys, and you actually give her a hug.
Yes.
To be able to shift gears that much and, show that much compassion, I think says an awful lot about you and the character of the individual that you are. So
I doubt I'm going out on a limb when I say this, but every crew member in an aircraft at any given time, you're a brother or a friend or a dad, and you one of the things that'll most certainly differentiate you from the crew member that doesn't have any experience is how to compartmentalize. And,
right.
Because I don't want the guy that's going to wig out on me. I need cool, calm, collective. And you know what? If you're going to wig out, maybe it's time to.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to just spray friggin' bullets everywhere. I don't know, but I think that's a testament. And you guys both being professionals, you did the same thing. You managed your own cockpits, and you were a friend when you needed to be. You were a dad when you needed to be, and sometimes you were a disciplinarian when you needed to be. But putting on all those hats, we do it as we did it as cops. When I was a cop, you do it as a cop. You do it as a pilot. You do it as a rescue specialist or a systems operator. So just kind of like
I imagine almost any high intensity job like that, be it, air traffic control, firefighters, law enforcement, certain in medicine, particularly emergency medicine or critical care, aviation, where people die when you screw up. Yeah. You need that talent. If you can't compartmentalize, then that's not a job you want to get into. Right. You truly need to be able to put out the disagreement you had with your wife this morning. Go, well, that doesn't exist right now.
Right. This is what we often refer to as high reliability organizations. In other words, these are organizations where there's very limited margin for error. Sometimes also maybe referred to as high risk organizations. But so I want to jump into one thing. Like I want to come in and hit this pretty hard now. Let's talk about hoisting and short haul operations. We've talked a lot about some of the law enforcement stuff, but the badassery stuff that I've seen, both in video and what you were having to do in some of your rescue cases. And I want us to get into, because we have not had on the show a hoist operator. So, or anybody who's been the systems operator in the back. And, and you've also been the pilot up front. So you're in a very, very unique position. And I've done hoists, and, when we talk about it in terms of hoists and helicopters, when you're doing hoists in a helicopter, the numbers are probably in the thousands, because in terms of practice and the number of times that, you go out and you do this. I mean, this is like putting on your socks. So let's go there. Let's go into these operations of, doing short hauls and how did Arizona State Police evolve in terms of doing those operations?
It's been an interesting progression of not only airframes but capabilities, right? Up to and including modern day glass cockpits. When you climb in an aircraft and it's from the 1950s or 60s and you're just looking at steam gauges and you're like, can't we do better? The HEMS community, the helicopter EMS community, kind of struggles with that a little bit because they don't want to put the money in it. Working with the state, they've got a little bit more money, so they're able to bring you up to date mostly on technology and capability. So the other thing is, and we've talked about this in the last episode, was going from single engine to twin engine and the capabilities. Yeah. And there's positive and negative. You know what I mean? You could dissect that and break that apart in multiple places and pieces. But in today's fleet with Arizona Department of Public Safety, you now have 3 Bell 429 twin engine hoist capable aircraft, and you have 2 Bell 407 glass cockpit with autopilot and short haul capable aircraft. So that's the 429. There's the 429. You can see the hoist on the upper right side is just not boomed out all the way. That black thing on the nose, that's the MX-10. That's the camera ball. Yep. Some people may look at those skids and see what are those things that are on the skids? Those are shoes. Those are bear paws. When you're landing in soft sand, maybe snow, even grass, those paws will come in and they'll kind of spread out. They'll disperse that mass so that it's more likely to stay above whatever it is that you're trying to.
Kind of like snowshoes.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. All right.
Now, here's the thing, though. Do you see any snowshoes on the nose, on the front of the skids?
No.
No, you don't. So being a
prudent. They'll dig in when you're auto rotating, or
no? Well, you're going to want to do a zero ground run if able, anyways, in the desert. Otherwise, you're going to roll and you're going to burn up in a fire. So that not to. That's
bad luck.
Yeah, I don't want to destroy anybody's freaking hero story, but you better come down zero ground run. Yeah. So think about it. Those.
You hear that, John?
Yeah, no, 150 feet.
Yeah, you get no skid marks.
Your auto. Yeah, that's okay. I get better at it.
You're drinking your friggin' drink and eating a sub while you're finishing the auto.
Yep.
But the guys who autoed that long will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But if you think about it, as you're landing, the front of the nose, although it's not as heavy because the heaviest part is obviously where the mast and transmission is at.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But when you lower the nose, you need to be cognizant of that camera system. And if your camera starts to descend into the grass or into the snow, hey, maybe you want to hold that pitch in the blade just a little bit and make sure that there's nothing under the camera ball.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, why don't you do that? Hey, pilot, go ahead and hold some pitch in the blade. Keep that nose up a little bit. I'm going to go out there and stamp down on that snow and grass right there and make sure that I don't destroy a $500,000 camera system. But it's simple things like that where like that's not written anywhere. You know what I mean? Those aren't things like, hey, make sure that when you go out and do this, that you do this step by step. But it doesn't work like that with GPS.
This is not the Air Force. You can't write everything down about flying.
Oh, and that I tell you what, as a former Spark chaser, oh my God, does the Air Force love to write shit down?
Oh,
like,
man,
they're in like
that's been a topic on this show. I don't know how many times, because if you ask somebody what the biggest difference is between the Air Force and the Navy or naval aviation in general, the answer is going to be the Air Force is going to tell you what you can do, and the Navy and the Coast Guard follows this. They will tell you what you cannot do, and then everything else is with your best judgment.
That's funny. Perfect.
Yeah. So, but you know that So anyway, so we're talking, 207s, and now, sort of at the beginning stages, we're doing long line operations, from what I understand, correct?
Yeah. So
the 407s rather.
Yeah, you said, yep. So it was a 407, and so if we can hold that picture just for a second, if you notice, the pilot door is off and both cabin doors are removed, left and right.
Yep.
The midspan is going to stay on. The midspan cabin door will stay on for both sides during this operation. But here, this is going to be a rappel followed by a short haul. And I know that because he's configured for a rappel on the eyelets on the right-hand side. So that person who's in a harnessing up will be in the aircraft. And then it looks like the second person who's helping us configure the aircraft will likely be the repeller. So he's going to be the one that connects to that rope once we're hovering over the target. He's going to rappel down. And then we're basically going to stow the rappel rope, and we're going to come back and we're going to pick him up with a fixed rope attached to the belly of the helicopter. And that's called short haul operations or vertical reference. Yep. So when there's a live load on board, obviously that's a short haul procedure. You're not as worried. You're not training. You don't have to worry about anybody dying or anything like that. But when you do train, you'll train with different ropes, and you'll go out and you'll train with dead loads, whether it's concrete or a heavy bag or something like that. When you're actually doing vertical reference or short haul rappel with a human person with a live body, these ropes are very specific to this particular operation, and they're monitored and inspected based on their usage. So you definitely see how it's all snaked out on the nose.
Yep.
You don't want to step on that.
This area down here, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to step on that. Don't put anything on it. Notice that it's not running under the skid. And if I were to look at this, I'm doing an inspection when I'm getting ready to walk around and take off with this, because these ropes will all be when we take off, all these ropes will be managed inside the cabin and on the cabin floor. And the rappel rope itself will not be dropped until you're actually over the target.
Okay.
And then you'll drop the rappel. The rappel will complete their iteration, whether it's one or you've got a second repeller in the aircraft. And now you can do this one of two ways. You can secure the rappel rope inside the aircraft, or if it's a really short rappel, you could just go ahead and drop it. Dropping rappel ropes, though, not a recommended action. Just go ahead and secure the rope inside the aircraft and just push it off to the side. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and lower the rope that's in there in the cabin area that's on the cabin floor. And that second rope that we're lowering is the rope that we actually pulled into the aircraft when we were back on the ground. That rope that was snaked out on the nose, we pulled all that in, and we managed that so that entire rope, to include the capture ball, is actually on the cabin floor and ready to go. So once the repeller is in, he's going to go to work with the med bag. They'll rappel out with a med bag or something. Yep. When they have the patient packaged, however it is they need to be packaged, whether it's flat or whether it's in basically a big diaper, we're going to come back in and we're going to lower that capture ball out. And when we hand you that capture ball, it's being handed 9 times out of 10, this ball is going to be handed by the pilot. sometimes the person who's in the back, who's actually watching this vertical reference or this short haul operation, they may actually swing the ball over if they need to, or if the winds are really kind of kicking in that certain area. For instance, I've got a rescue from Salome that Angela Rose, Jeff Love, and I did. Mm-hmm. And it's the first time that we started doing 2-line extractions so that we could get more rope length. And it's on YouTube under like Salome Rescue. But you can actually see the helicopter come up, and you'll see the first line is 100 feet, and then you'll see the second line come up behind that. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But everything on that extraction, everything is connected to a belly hook. So there are certain checks that need to be done on that hook before you go out and put a live load on it. So you have 3 different ways that I can actually disconnect this hook from the belly. I can use an electrical disconnect that's actually right on the cyclic. So if I've got a snag or something like that, I can punch that. It's gonna open up that hook that's on the belly, and that entire rope and the load and everything with it is going to drop away. But this is the absolute worst case scenario for a couple of reasons.
Hold on. So you could have a live load on this thing
and punch it.
And how do you punch it off?
So ours with this, because this was before the 2-hook, the double hook method that they have today, because now they have 2 hooks under the belly. This was back when we had single hooks. Okay. So our hook punch, our load punch required 2 actions. It required an action by the pilot. Okay. And it required an action by the systems operator, or essentially the load inside the aircraft. It was a 2-step process.
Because I'm sitting here going, hold on, you essentially got a trigger on the cyclic and and dude's gone.
I was trying to
safety cover on that. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes, there is. But what I was trying to do is paint a picture of someone who's never seen this op before.
Yeah,
and that's where I started with the pilot's control measures first, because they're all right there on that cyclic, and you actually do those checks prior to a short haul rappel iteration, whether it's training or live.
The poor bastard on the rope rappelling, and you got a pilot up there who's white knuckling it, and whoops.
So the interesting thing, it's like a quick release pull pin, so that if you lift the lever, we've seen some of these climbing devices, right? And the quick release is designed that it actually takes a mechanical action to pop it. So once that mechanical action is complete, and then the pilot hits that release, the load is gone. Gotcha. Okay. And that's where train. So even if you're just simulating a partial power loss during one of these operations, look, man, that's fine. Stage in your risk assessment for this as a pilot or as a crew, and talk about what you're going to do, what the recovery process for this is going to look like. And if you need to, go out and actually hook a simulated training scenario up and actually go through this iteration. But knowing, and this is something where in the types of books that I enjoy reading, it's more about like camaraderie, military partnership, teamwork, things like that. Making sure that you know your objective, know your job, and you're willing to commit to that task. Because if you hesitate, or you're off, or you guess, and I've got stories like that's those stupid guesses. Don't guess with me. If you want to see me get upset as a pilot, let me know that you thought you saw something. That's going to be irritating. Either you did or you did not.
Right.
So if you thought you did, you did. Period. Right. Until you didn't. But, in that case, you're taking away some of the guesswork, and train to that standard. Be that person as a crew member. Don't hesitate. Know what your responsibilities are. So if you have to do it, you know what? Yeah, that's shitty. That's fucking shitty. Yeah. But don't beat yourself up because you did your damn job. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't fall prey to that. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, that totally.
Yeah.
So anyway, so now you have your systems operator in the back, you're flying, you've got your rescuer that's going out the door on the rappel. So let's talk briefly, so we have rappel and we have hoist. What are the advantages and disadvantages to one versus the other?
You're asking me a disadvantage of a hoist, and aside from the clutch, I would be hard pressed to tell you what that could be.
Okay, that's about what I was thinking. I haven't had anybody rappel out of my helicopter. It's a one-way trip, and and there's lots of potential for mishap or error. But I just wasn't sure whether the rescuer having control on their end.
So to go back just a little bit, there may be those out there who watch and listen to your show who are curious. Why did you guys go to hoist? Why didn't you just stay with your short haul rappel stuff? Why didn't you just connect to the belly and keep doing what you were doing? I mean, Jesus, the aircraft you guys are flying now is $11 million. The one that you used to fly is $3 million. Why are you, Well, we actually had gone through a transitory period where we tested, what can make us more beneficial to the customers of Arizona, both law enforcement and the visitors that come to the state, or residents that go out there and use the products, whether it's going to be a hunter who breaks their leg or somebody who's out on a random road somewhere that's visiting the state and they're off on the side of the road. I mean, what's going to give us our best bang for the buck? And we walked away from the 407 mostly due to hoist capability and situational capabilities. For instance, we can be in and out on almost every night hoist, in and out in under 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh.
And keep in mind, that's only 300 pounds of fuel. Where if I'm climbing in the 407, yeah, you're absolutely right, man. It does sip fuel. It drinks gas at 5.5 pounds per minute, but you can't short haul at night.
Right.
So now what?
Oh.
So this is where we also get into something unique, though, when it comes to the 407 and its smaller profile and platform. We can actually put that into areas that maybe generate dust or water mist. We can get that 407 into some of those areas that the 429 may agitate it too much to be able to get that mission completed, where the 407 has a smaller footprint and can actually manage that just a little bit more. That is one of the benefits of a smaller aircraft, but the 29, it brought to the table a day-night night vision goggle, hoist-capable, twin-engine, 4-axis autopilot system with 2 cell phones in it, and a camera system that's military-grade technology. By the time you put all that math together, you have a rescue machine that doesn't take any time to really. It takes time to get your team into those positions and set on the offensive line.
Right.
But but I don't have to land the aircraft. I don't have to worry about the time.
The aircraft.
I don't have to worry about, does this person know how to take a door off the helicopter or not? I don't have to worry about who did the walkthrough? Did you do your hook check? I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You do your hoist pre-operational checks in the morning prior to your the beginning of your shift. And other than that, the aircraft is the aircraft. 20 minutes for a day hoist, 30 minutes for a night hoist, and you're en route to the hospital.
Yeah.
And
you're absolutely correct. Okay. And that's 20. You can even do it less than 20.
The only reason I went with that is that's a means.
That's the average. Yeah.
I gave you an average, and there are hoists where we've been in and we've been out in 15. I mean, it's if you know what the mission is, and this person just needs to go into a screamer or something like that, cable out. They're going to be packaging them up so that they are an ambulatory patient at that point. You're going to wait 5 minutes, give or take, for the screamer suit to get put on, or the AVED, the device that you're putting on the big diaper, and then you're going to come in and extract. And there was one instance in particular where the crew was power limited in the Bradshaws with a density altitude up around the 9,000 foot mark. That particular time in the summer, though, it was on the top of the Bradshaw. So when they came in, they literally knew that they could not stay below ETL, effective translational lift, for too long because they would punch into a transient time limit.
Right.
So when they were feeding out on the cable, this was a do or die. So you committed, and the hook was going out. The hook's going out as soon as the rescue specialist has contact with the ground. They punch the hook, and it's being held so that it's clear, and the hook is already coming in the aircraft at a 25-foot hoist. Yeah. So when you come back in, this is where you may even have the foresight. You may come in a little bit warm and then decelerate the aircraft and let that hook swing forward just a little bit. And then the operator can put hook in hand. They're making the connections as the aircraft is finishing up its deceleration. So now all I have to do is get that smooth pick with the hoist, get a smooth pick, take that off so I'm not destroying the clutch, and then you're out.
Yeah. Well, that is just beautiful. To totally pick up what you're saying.
So tell me what a typical day looks like then, because curious, you don't just get in and go out and go flying and waiting for something. You get dispatched to a rescue most of the time, or do you go out and fly and wait for, hey, we need you over here, we need you over there, and assuming you're on deck and you do a pre-flight, what's your time from the time you get a call until the main rotor is turning fast enough for you to pull up on the collective and go?
So repeat, and I ain't throwing shade, brother, but the concepts of a first responder and time, I think we put too much in that component. Okay. I think that we should keep aviation in its own compartment, and we don't move any faster than we feel the need to.
Move at the speed of safety.
That's so I'm not throwing shade on what you're saying. I'd like to add to it.
Okay.
And if you're going to fuck some shit up, and it wasn't the engine just deciding to fuck shit up for you, it's going to be something that happened because somebody missed, because they went too quick. Somebody rushed. And I've got stories about that of my own failures where I rushed it, and God damn it, if I had just slowed down, like I could have saved that or not done that action. But I also have a realistic statement for you, because we do know those numbers as well. We're dispatched through the 911 center, but we also have our phone numbers out there with each search coordinator in the state. There are 15 counties in the state of Arizona, but keep this in mind. When I had walked away, and they're always building their team, but we're a very senior team at the time. So our name is out there. Our telephone number and name is out there. So there were times where you could literally get a text or a phone call from a friend or a friend of a friend who says, hey, I'm at this location, I need an extraction.
Okay.
And that's, in my opinion, that's great for customer service, because what we can do, especially with our own law enforcement component, is when we orient them to the aircraft, you want to take my phone number down? It's all yours, buddy. You can have it, because I want to know that if you're out there in the middle of nothingness and I'm the name that you call, I want to be able to give you that asset. And if I can't give it to you with me in the seat, I'd like to be able to kick that straight over so that we can get you the right team for the location that you're in and get you out of the spot. And I want you to know help is on the way. So that's how our name can get out there in a lot of different ways. But if you've never been here before and you don't know how it works in Arizona and you're not sure how we're dispatched, call 911.
So let me ask then how the admin question of that is, you get a call from a search coordinator, says, hey, I need you to come pull my ass out of a fecal matter sandwich. And you go, okay, I'm on my way. And you guys start loading up and going. I'm assuming that you're doing it airborne, because that's the time when you have the most time, is to say to dispatch, hey, we're headed out here. You guys don't know anything about this, but we're no longer available to you. How does that work?
No, that's a great question. And actually, you pull in an alibi on my part. I failed to let your listeners know that the 429 twin engine is a 3-person team. That's what makes that aircraft so successful. That's not to say that if we got a law enforcement call and we needed to go out and do a warrant service, that I needed 3 friggin' people in that helicopter hovering, looking at the same target that SWAT is down there hitting, right? To give this, what's in the military, those guys who know this, the fully mission capable aircraft would be a 3-person team. And that's going to open up all the capabilities and rescue capabilities and law enforcement capabilities and medical transport capabilities of this aircraft. So that was one of the bigger selling points was we're fully autonomous. We come in with the hoist, we come in with the gas, we come in with the team, we come in with the meds, and then we come up with your extraction plan. And then we take your guy to the hospital, and oh, by the way, do you need to know anything else? So when we were able to introduce that package to administration for Arizona, we did a side-by-side comparison of the capabilities of the 407, and then we did a very similar mission, but with a hoist extraction on the second mission. And that's when administration took a look at it, and it was sticker shock. You guys spend how long trying to prepare an aircraft to get it ready for short haul and rappel? And even after all that, when the sun goes down, you turn into a pumpkin? Yes, yes, and yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's
So
a hard sell.
when we were able to actually demonstrate to them the time saved and the time, like the golden hour with respect to a medical patient transport,
Sure.
fuck, man, we sold this aircraft and it's not even ours to sell. We just wanted to be able to do the job better. So when they went to the 429, it was like this is definitely more in line, right? Ideally,
Yeah.
I would like
it ought
to
be
have
for 3.5 times the price, but
Price, yeah.
well,
but that's okay. That saves, if that's saving lives, and it sounds like it is.
some of this stuff, whether it's economical issues that have stepped into play, whether it's AI that's stepping into play, or whether it's precious metals that have stepped into play, we're just watching a progressive uptick in aviation products. There's no way around it. Like,
Yeah.
and gold now selling at $4,000 a freaking ounce. Hello, can somebody please open up any electronic device they have and show me where there is not trace elements of gold?
Yep.
And that's just one precious metal. Get into the how the bell is put together. A lot of parts of the bell is put together in Canada. Are there any imports you could think about right now that might be associated with Canada?
Yeah.
Just a few.
And now
my Labatt's blue.
now do the math with this, not to go down that rabbit hole, but you've got an $11 million product with a 20% tariff on some of the components on it.
Yeah.
What exactly is a 20% tariff on a $400,000 part?
Right. Bingo.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much money. Anyways, not to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
No, it's good to know that even though it's obviously a far more expensive aircraft, that it's that much more capable, and I can see where those administrators would go. We can save lives with this, and I bet you. I could be wrong. I'm guessing. I'm going to ask. Do you have any instances where that airplane you believe saved a life because you were able to be there that much quicker and that much more effectively execute the mission than had you been in the 407?
Yes. Yeah, I can say that without a doubt that aircraft got the patient to where they needed to be before. You
before
do bring
the
up
expiration date was up.
So you bring up an interesting point though with respect to gear installed in the aircraft and the growth of medicine in the aircraft. But there was a time not too long ago when we didn't have tourniquets, and holy crap, the advent, and I don't even say the advent, just the mere usage and access of having a tourniquet inside the aircraft, because how many guys think that they could tourniquet something with rope or a telephone cord or a t-shirt? So sometimes guys remember that whole the Sully curve? Yeah. So now I'm taking valuable time. Like, well, that tourniquet gives a guy an immediate direct go-to, and he knows exactly where that tourniquet's at, and they can go to work. You kind of asked a medical question that it kind of went down there, and we saw that progression. We see the progression in utilization of medicines inside the aircraft. DPS Aviation is primarily concerned about pain management, right, and getting that trauma to the highest level of care as soon as you can
within the golden hour. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So did we increase our chances and our success capabilities? Yes, we did. Most absolutely. Yeah, we did.
Nice.
If I had to strip the aircraft out, take those doors off like we were talking about, put that rope up, do those checks, rappel somebody in, pull the rappel rope, now go ahead and extend.
Then
oh
the
my
phone
God.
Rings again. Yeah, never mind. It's too late.
Oh, that's
take somebody who's had a 120-foot fall and the rapid deceleration at the bottom.
Yeah.
Put them in a either a ravine or a small narrow or a box canyon, and you got a bad situation that it's going to take a lot of time to get somebody out, and it's not just people in the aircraft, but it's people on the ground too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, if you're okay, I do have a story. It's just I don't say just, but it was a body recovery, but it tied in experience with my inexperience because I was sharing this with a more experienced systems operator. I was on the skid, and this was a 213-foot hoist, and I do have a video of it. Sticks, if you want that vid.
Yeah,
But
I totally want that vid.
it's a 213-foot extraction, but we needed the insertion of the rescue specialist with the bag, with the bowman, the PEP, so that we could bag him and then pull him out. This guy had gotten in his vehicle by himself. He took his 2 dogs with him, and he drove over a 400-foot cliff and killed himself and his 2 dogs. And now we were there to recover him. To jump ahead of the story real quick, the family actually asked us if we could recover the dogs, which were actually closer into this box canyon, and we were starting to get towards nighttime. What do you think? I mean, I don't know, Sticks. Would you do it? Would you go get those? Yeah.
Sorry, no.
So that's the answer. Like, I'm sorry your dogs are there.
Right, but I am not going to sacrifice a human life for a dog.
Reward.
That's already dead.
Risk reward.
Yeah.
There's a really good book out called Red Company, and it's about a unit that was basically pinned down overseas in Afghanistan. When that unit came under that fire, though, they basically sent out the broken arrow. And when they did that, they were getting B1s, A10s, AH-64s, and the target, being U.S. soldiers, was worth the payload. So they leveled that freaking area. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go in there. And that's a shout out to that book, by the way, Red Company. And I can get you the author if you want. Great book. But in that particular case, you're managing the request of the family, and the family is a customer at this point. However, we have to put our risk reward hat on, and we make those deciding factors. But on that, now our total cable length is 287 feet. But I'm not sure how much, Sticks, you had mentioned that you were a hoist pilot as well. Yeah. So we understand offset. We understand helicopter offset. So if I had a litter that was here and I had the helicopter over top of it with a hoist and I'm going to pick it up, I'm just going to pick it up a little bit and I'm going to keep a tagline attached to it. Repeat. Right. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
As I back up, I've got both cable out and I have tagline attached. And what I'm trying to do is create an offset between the helicopter and the load to put in a rope angle that's going to allow me to hold this litter nice and tight on its cabling in process.
Okay.
And that's a tagline. Yep. Where I'm going with this is I was at 213 foot for the insertion. I have 287 feet usable. I can't go down and I can't go up. I could go up, but that's not going to help anybody.
Right.
So when we did the offset, Sticks, I didn't have the offset that I needed because it was such a high hoist.
Right. Yeah.
So we offset just slightly and we did an intentional tagline breakaway right above that turbulent flight zone where it gets agitated.
Right.
And asked for the pedal turn and started to cable in through that.
Okay. Wow. That's some serious head work.
Well, where I'm going with this is because I just told you basically a mission, but now I'm going to tell you where I messed up. So the cable was clean. I had no rotation. It was a clean extraction, clean insertion, great pilot, and great rescue specialist. During that offset, because it was so short, instead of taking that short breakaway, what I should have thought about was tying we have a 150-foot tagline. It's a smaller millimeter. Okay. And then we have our larger tagline. I should have just bowlined those two together.
Tied them together. Okay.
I should have just tied them together, and that way you would have had more than enough to create the offset and hold pressure on the tagline rope.
Right.
But again, at the time, I mean, I'd only been hoisting, and this sounds silly, but I'd been hoisting for well over a year, maybe 2 at this point. But that just goes to show, like, if you haven't seen it before, you haven't been taught it.
If you haven't seen
every
it,
every flight's a new lesson.
And that was it.
And that's why one of the things that we did at my air station that I really liked, that I learned a lot from, was we would have once a week, in the wardroom, all the officers, all the pilots get together, and we'd have a hot wash. Everybody go around the room. Everybody gets an opportunity, no penalty and it's an opportunity to say, hey, I went out and did this and it didn't work so well, and this is what I learned. And we then shared all of that information, and collectively as an aggregate sum, we got better at our job, and and we learned and became more proficient. And that cross germination and sharing of information, as opposed to coming back and going, well, that didn't go well, but I'm not going to let anybody know about that. So you're trying to share that information and grow and make sure that because, guarantee you somebody else may have seen the exact same thing or said, oh, you know what? I ran into that once and I did this. And
so on that, and to buttress that, add on to your story, Sticks, back in 2009, I started in 2008. And one of the things, stepping away from standardization from the military and whatnot, stories and mistakes, they should carry in units. And I noticed that in DPS and aviation, we had all this experience. And I mean, when I came on, we had a lot of Vietnam drivers. So we had guys who saw a lot of shit, or the potential to see a lot of shit. Yeah. And in 2009, I approached the supervisor at Kingman and I said, why don't we do the thing called lessons learned, and let's talk about each other's mistakes? Because, keep in mind, I told you I only had 2,000 hours when I started with DPS.
Right.
I finished with over 6,000 and some change, but 2,000 hours, that's not a lot of time. I mean, not in the grand scheme of things.
It's enough to get your foot in the door and to get started. It's a starting point,
Yeah.
and that makes sense, But yeah, it's and it's and yeah, you need to share that information. That's the only way you move the ball forward.
Correct. Yep. So after 2009, we did that lessons learned. And we started talking about, this was a mission so every year during aviation safety conference, that's 2 down days essentially. During one of those 2 days, each unit talks about a mission where something was learned from that. And you can get some really neat stuff out of those missions.
Absolutely. So let's you think it's maybe time to jump over to the maybe the Insomnia Canyon rescue?
Yeah.
Or we could do that one or the Oatman Mountain one.
The open mountain.
Oatman.
Oatman.
Which is a more natural flow for you from a rescue.
Insomnia was one of the first rescues that I was pilot in command and in my own ship at that time as a Kingman pilot with a very experienced medic on board. So knowing that it's very, Insomnia is more proximate to when I was released into the unit.
Okay.
So for those who don't know, Insomnia Canyon, that's a good 45-minute flight from Kingman. I don't expect anybody to know that, but that's a good 45-minute flight over that way. So when we launched, we got word that there was an individual who their device had failed or something. This guy had fallen a significant height, and this story is actually available to you in a hiking magazine. And
I'll get the link and put it on with the show release.
Yeah, and Quinny does have that. He did look up that article, but by all accounts, we were essentially notified because it was a fall. It was a climber fall, and that's how it came out for us. So not a big deal. Sometimes climber falls can result in you landing right next to the patient and extracting them. But that was definitely not the case with this particular climber fall.
Yep.
Because when we went over, we took a look at the spot en route to Flagstaff because our intention was to take off from Kingman with a medic and with all rope extraction gear, rappel short haul capable, fly over to Flagstaff in a 407. En route, we're going to fly over the top of Insomnia and give us a general idea of what we're up against. We flew over it. We looked at it. We saw that it was a box. It's a very tight box with 2 ways in, and that's it. You can either go in through the mouth or you can come in from up above. There's a picture that's up right now, and it's hard for you to gauge, but what looks like a wall in the mouth of that, because we're actually looking from north to south generally, the width of that wall is about 150 to 200 feet across. It's not that big. And I'd say in some of those spots, when you get in certain spots, it might open up a little bit more than that. The height of the fall, though, we're talking several hundred feet of a climb down, of a rope device let down. When he fell in the absolute worst spot. He fell at the base in the mouth of the box. So he's not ambulatory. He is on his back and he is hurting. So he will die in time. So that call comes out for us for a climber extract. We fly over it. We see it. We get a general idea. We need a third person because now, remember, we talked about rappel capabilities. We need a third person for that rappel to actually get on that rope and rappel into the target area. So we go over, strip out all the gear. We turn and it is warm, and I can't remember the temperatures that day, but it was freaking warm. Like you're watching the gauges. You're watching the needles. Pretty good.
Yep.
We get a relatively light rescue specialist, a person who's going to go on the rope. The aircraft's completely stripped, and we head over with enough gas to facilitate the extraction. And I've got both doors off in the back, pilot door off. I've got the rappel rope set up. I've got a rescuer in the back, and I have my rescue specialist, my spotter, in the back as well. This was before we utilized Axness, but okay. for those who aren't familiar with Axness, man, I could plug for Axness pretty fucking easy. Like that's a solid company with very solid representation, with a very solid product that can and does save lives. We didn't have that ability at the time, though. So everything is the handhelds, right?
Right. So for those who don't know, Axness is a wireless ICS system, so that the flight mech in the back doesn't have to worry about A, rotor-wash activating his mic and drowning stuff out, and B, doesn't have to worry about clicking a button to activate his mic so he can talk to the pilot.
And think about that for a second. Let's say that down the road,
And for those that don't know what an ICS system is,
sorry.
That's an intercom.
It's an intercom system. Yes.
So you can chat with each other. Yeah. So had to jump in with that.
Like a pilot.
Sorry.
Let's use an acronym to clarify an acronym. It's what we do.
It's our
sorry, Take what Styx was saying, though, with respect to a hands-free commo system, and now put yourself on a cable. You're 200 feet under a helicopter, and you have a rescue strop that you need to put around somebody, and I cannot take my hand and activate the mic system. I need to be able to speak directly into the intercom system. Yeah. So I've now got a full hands-in rescue, and I'm talking on ICS in the process, so you can actually hear what's going on. Pays dividends.
That's cool.
Remember when we were talking about that progression with DPS and the technology, the glass? This was another advent, another component to the rescue. And it's not just there. Axness can be utilized in a law enforcement capacity. Let's say that I needed to, for whatever reason, take the medic out of the aircraft and actually put him in a box.
Right. For
whatever reason. And now I've got a medic in the aircraft and a medic in the box. And we can hear each other the whole time. There's not a loss in that safety chain. They got everything. So
that's CRM right there.
Huge CRM tool. Huge crew resource management tool. You're not going to get us on that one, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't even try it, Pete. Don't even try it.
I'm just sick of writing in the glossary. Actually, I haven't updated the glossary in a long time. We do have a sodaros.us/glossary.
/glossary. Yes, we do.
So
all right. So we're putting in. So we've got the rig set up, and now what?
The location of Insomnia Canyon relative to Flagstaff, it's a short hop. It's about 9 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes total to get there. So with the doors off, we're flying at a little slower speed. That's just a restriction that all aircraft generally have. If you take a door off or you take symmetrical doors off, you just make sure that you don't fly beyond a certain speed to protect the aircraft.
Yeah. So this is I have a Google Earth image, which I can actually link into the show as well. But you can see that this is sort of a hole in the ground, quite literally, with really huge canyon walls up around it. It's insane.
So a good thing that we could tie in, like a Google Earth elevation approximation of that image you just showed, that would have you at about 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
In that picture that you showed, that darkened area is almost always dark. Those are the shadows that are in there. So for those who aren't familiar with what do shadows do on a vertical reference load, if you can't see the shadow between the capture ball, what they're going to connect into, and the person who wants that capture ball, it's hard to approximate distance to your target because there's no relative motion perspective.
Right.
that allows you to see the spacing between that hook and that hand. So it puts a little bit more on what I would call the systems operator in the back, your safety in the back. Because now if you want to verify, have your person in the back call the load. Or if you're on Axness, your capture ball is 3, 2, 1, hold, capture ball in hand.
There you go.
Yep.
Right.
And that's how in the Coast Guard, that's how we did our hoists. It is the guy in my back is basically conning me in, and it's, there's rescue check part 1 and they come on, and then it's rescue check part 2. It's okay. Now go on. And it goes on hot mic, con me, you can give commands, and it's, easy forward, right, right 5, right 4, forward 10, forward 3, or easy hold, and then and I'm getting the description from my hoist, my mech in the back, who's telling me, okay, swimmer's at the hook, swimmer's disconnecting, swimmer's okay, swimmer's at the survivor, and I'm getting this, and I have this whole visual in my head. I'm hearing exactly everything that's going on underneath, and and that just makes it go so smooth. It's like butter. And it's amazing when you have that going on. It's I can't emphasize it enough. So Sticks, not to jump in front of the story, but you could not be more accurate, more precise in that description from a hoist pilot's perspective. Where DPS Aviation does it a little differently is they use that system operator as the eyes and ears. Yeah.
So that SO is calling to target with hook in hand, or tagline attached, or litter is 10 feet off the deck, easy back 5. We shift all that to the systems operator. But where I wanted to tie in that game for those who may have their own doubts about their own capabilities or training, or how did you guys get to this level? Sticks, you mentioned the thousands of times that cable was out, that Hobbs was spinning.
Yep.
A Hobbs is a ticker. It's basically a meter that goes on that hoist. And the only time that Hobbs is ticking is when that drum is rotating.
Yep.
So think about that. So if I have 200 hours on my hoist, that's 200 hours of the hoist going in and out. That's not 200 hours of the hoist sitting there static.
Yeah.
So one of the things that where I'm going with this is DPS Aviation will provide for you an enormous amount of training time to get you to the most professional limit that you can hit. And that's one of the things that our guys, to this day, you're walking away from it, they boasted is our pilots are the best. And I'm not throwing shade on any other companies. If that should be a testament to anything, to the people that are out there listening to this or watching this, that's the Brotherhood. What you just heard is don't come between the Brotherhood. That is that we trust ourselves and each other to the nth degree. And we are ready right here, right now, today, to put our lives into their hands, his life into my hands, my life into his, and make that team be a fully functional 3-legged stool that drives the perfect hoist and extracts without complication. What we have to train for. Go ahead.
And with that, actually, I want to show this because, based off of what you're saying, this is the perfect time to.
Okay, so for those listening at home, our mics got muted automatically. I cannot unmute their mics. The helicopter is going to a cannon. There's the hoist operator is leaning out.
I managed to unmute myself. But.
Yeah, there we go. Looks like he's going to chop down a cactus, a giant cactus.
Yeah, we're looking down, like what's got to be emphasized here. We're looking down into the rotor system. We're probably a good 75 feet above the helicopter. Yeah. And you can see there's these updrafts coming up, which is kicking the tail rotor. And the helicopter's having to make adjustments for that, and that's just that's the canyon, funneling the wind up through the rotor system. And, so and you can see actually also the pilot has his head out looking down, and they're trying to
belt it in and doesn't fall out.
Yeah. So, they're basically trying to get that.
Daryl, you're muted. We can't unmute you.
Yeah. The ball, if you look down in your left-hand corner, there you go.
There we go.
Now we'll shut up and let the expert talk.
Oh, you guys were doing a great job. Can we pause it real quick?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Let me, if not, that's not.
It doesn't pause and it mutes us all. Whenever the video comes on, it mutes everybody. So let's stop with the video, please.
I'm back on.
And just talk it. Let's just talk about what it was, because now I've got to go in and pull all that out.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. So what you guys witnessed, that call came out from a 911 call, and it kicked over to search. Search pushed their way into the area, but you could see that it was a gorge, like a gorge area, a canyon area. Yeah. And Sticks, you're spot on talking about canyon winds, updraft canyon. The time of day you saw that the sun was out. So we're always driving right to the
extra
cold ground. Yeah. So that's how the winds were. I was pointed generally to the south, and that's how those canyon winds were running generally. It's just that they were gusting. But we had already rappelled in Jeff Love for a hiking injury, non-ambulatory hiking injury. So this guy can't he can't walk himself out, right? You can't 2-point this guy out, because you're not going to 2-point a 250-pounder for 4 miles. That ain't happening. So when they reached out to us, they said this is probably going to be a short haul. And when we went over, we flew overhead, we looked at it. We saw where we could land, but it would be like a 2-hour plus extraction by ground. We knew that this guy was a medical emergency. So we made that decision to go ahead and do a short haul rappel in. So we rappelled Jeff in at it was an 80-footer, give or take. Okay. But between the winds and how close we were to the rock wall, we stayed away from that fixed line, 125, 100-foot short haul, and we went ahead and connected extra line to give us that flyaway capability if anything happened. Okay. Yeah. So even as low as we were, I still had more than I would have if we had lowered down even further, because that canyon slot pick out was so far down in the rock that when we came out, we had 2 lines hooked up, and when the video plays, you'll see the first knuckle, the buckle of the rope. Yep. You'll see it, and then you'll see the second line come up, and then you'll see the litter and Jeff come out with it, and we took him over to a box. Yep. We didn't land and convert back into a medical. Remember when we talked about the wins versus the losses? Yep. Keep in mind, when you took a 407 apart, you had to put it back together. Right. So if you landed with a medical patient, and I'm not saying that we would not do this, because there were times where we did, but you could land, strip the aircraft, facilitate the short haul, and literally hand the patient to yourself, put everything back together, and then fly the patient away. But it's time. It's time consuming, and that's where the trade-off. Pass them off to another helicopter that can fly them out. That's it. Ambulance.
Can you just for me, if nobody else, tell me the difference between some of it makes sense, but what a short haul is, what a 2-point is, what versus a hoist. And
so this is actually a great question, because why is it even called a short haul? But traditionally, those litters they're not positioned too far away from the extraction point. So it's almost a nomer, it's a moniker that, it's a short haul to your intended drop-off point. Drop point. So if you hear somebody say, like, man, I had a short haul the other day that was 5 miles, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's more than short. Okay.
Yeah, because, think about it. That's a single engine flying around with a freaking fishing hook hanging from the belly of the aircraft.
Well, as long as it doesn't catch a barbed wire fence go listen to last week's show.
I can think of time like that. That could happen.
Yeah.
But that should make sense that most of your short hauls, like, what is the average distance for a short haul? 2 miles, 2.5 miles, to get back to the trailhead, really, because you're flying as the crow flies. You're not flying the trail.
Sure.
This is an as the crow flies. And keep this in mind. I've already got a box on order. right? There's an ambulance that's going to be at that landing zone when we get there. So I'm going to hand the patient to the mouth of the ambo. And then we're going to land a distance away, reconfigure our aircraft, and we're done. Our mission is complete. Now, what's nice about DPS aviation, there have been times in times past, and there will do it in the future, where DPS will hand the patient to another DPS helicopter. Yeah. That has happened before. All that requires is supervisor notification, two company aircraft on the same call. So if we get a mass casualty or something like that, we can even go into that. Let's say that we put 2 DPS air assets on station, but now had to coordinate with AMBO. We could put our medic in to function as a triage management system, and then we start the extraction for most critical and pull in our boxes and other air assets as necessary. And we would go into that combat control kind of air asset management. Dude, I'm telling you, the job has so many freaking potentials that would blow your mind, the types of things you could find yourself in. Blow your mind.
One other thing that I want to sort of emphasize that short haul that you guys did there was just phenomenal. I mean, the airmanship involved with that, to me, like, so I'm looking at this through the lens of a former helicopter pilot, or still a helicopter pilot. I like to think of myself as that. But looking at this through somebody who's done hoisting, who's done helicopter flight, who's done rescue, and looking at that, this is Blue Angel level quality helicopter flying. This is doing these types of operations until you don't get them wrong. You know, you're not practicing until I get them right. You're practicing until you never get it wrong.
God, Sticks, you are so spot on, dude, with that. And you even remind me of times where we have intentionally tried to fail products because we want to know.
Where's the end? Where's the
we
limit?
Want to know.
And that's, you know, and I just sort of look at that as just, you know, and it's not just a matter of your airmanship in terms of flying the helicopter, but the entire coordination between your systems operator in the back and the person that's, I keep forgetting the term for your rescuer that's going out the door, your medics, you know, it's clear that this is really next level professionalism and just mind boggling, which is so why when I listened, you know, I got to plug Quinny. Okay. So that's how I got onto you. And, you know, but, you know, when I listened to your episode and I listened to what you talked about, and I was like, we've got to get him on. So anyways, I need to toot your horn because man, that is some serious badass flying. And, you know, and so from one helicopter pilot to another, I have never seen anything that's just phenomenal. So, and I'm sure that repeat gets it, but you know what? I got to say it because I'm just I'm blown away.
I tell you, on behalf of every pilot that can do that worked with DPS, and thank you for saying that. But you'd be amiss if you didn't make sure that, you know, when you're talking about that, you understand that the company gives us that time and that helicopter and that money. So when we do go out and that question is, can we do this? We spend less time asking that question, like, can we get this done? And we spend more time, these are our safety parameters as we start this mission and as we get into this. And this is the burr in the saddle that we might hit when we hit this portion of the extraction. We have plan A and we have plan B, but that's where the collective of the team pays dividends. And for me personally, I never did a hoist by myself that I can freaking remember.
No.
So,
I didn't either. You know,
and,
it's my flight mech, my co-pilot, my rescue swimmer. It's my team.
Shout out to the team. To the team, you know.
And the other thing is, and that also, when you point out that it's, you know, Arizona Department of Public Safety that has a top-down, clearly they have a top-down mentality, but they're also not micromanaging, which really puts them, honestly, I would say puts them very much like the Coast Guard.
That seems pretty rare.
Yeah,
For most
it's
organizations I've been involved
decentralized.
with.
It's decentralized leadership. It's allowing people at the bottom rungs to make decisions and empowering them and removing barriers out of their way and providing guidance.
Perfect.
Train them up, let them do their job.
This is really good leadership, and not just, it's not management, it's leadership, and it's the same way that the Blue Angels perform the way that they do, and it's also and this is where I'm going to sort of tout call out the Coast Guard for what we do well. And that was like, when you look at Katrina, the whole reason that we responded as well to Katrina as we did is because we let the unit leaders at the ground level make decisions and empowered them and gave them the tools that they needed to do. And thousands of lives by the Coast Guard were saved because of that decentralized leadership. Yeah. If we sat around and waited for higher ups to make those decisions, we wouldn't have had the successes that we did. And and this is reflected in what Arizona Department of Public Safety is doing as well. So hats off to you guys.
And an addendum to that, those sticks, it's for those companies that feel like, they need to keep their thumb on the frickin' scale or their finger on the pulse or however you want to word it. You hired the professional for a reason. Let them be a professional. Get the fuck out of the cockpit.
Wait a minute. I want to tell the professional how to do his job. Let me tell you how this works. Hey, Mr. Plumber, let me tell you how to sweat that pipe.
And that's why when I'm training new nurses, I'll sit there and I'll ask them questions like, okay, how do you want to go about doing this? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you went to school for this. This is your sandbox. You should be allowed to make clinical decisions, and that's why you went to school for this. This is why you have a license. Don't wait for somebody to necessarily have to give you permission for everything.
Right.
So anyways, all right, that's awesome. So
very neat.
That is just some amazing flying. I really cannot begin to tout that. Let's talk a little bit about. You want to jump into Oatman?
Hey, Dizzy. I was thank Dizzy there. I just noticed that comment. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Indeed.
So let's. Do you want to jump into Oatman, or you got another story that you want to?
Yeah, man. Let's talk Oatman. That was a fun one.
Yeah, and I got some good pictures to go with that too.
So Oatman is the location of where Boundary Cone is at, and Boundary Cone. A fun fact, by the way, Oatman used to be like literally one of the fire agate capitals of the freaking West. Like Oatman used to sell fire agate by the pound, and now you're hard pressed to find fire agate anywhere out there because everybody's picked it clean. Fun fact. Okay. But it's over by the Black Mountains, over by Bullhead City, just to the south of Bullhead. The elevation around there is, I would say it's around 3,000, right? 3,000 feet. And it is your typical low desert hangout. There's not a lot of foliage on the ground. It's a very dusty environment. The rocks that are there are volcanic, and they've been there for freaking thousands of years. Yeah. They're very, very abrasive, which is great for climbing, but terrible when you fall and lacerate your head and kill yourself, on the first body recovery I did. In this case, this guy went to Boundary Cone for a free climb. And Boundary Cone is several hundred feet in the air. And that is looking at it from you're looking at it from the north side. That's the north side of Boundary Cone. The south side is actually a little bit higher. It kind of peaks up on the south side. And I'm going to say it's like 700 feet, man. It's freaking up there. Well, this guy was climbing, and when he was coming down on the backside of it, on the south side, he slipped. And there's not a lot of places to slip and go except for gravity to take you to your demise. But this guy fell into a landing. And that's the landing. That landing is in the ballpark of.
So what we're looking at is a sheer cliff face, and the crack appears to be, I don't know, 8 or 10 feet across at the top and down, obviously down to the bottom, just wide enough to hold a wedged-in human body.
There is a person with this patient right now who had rappelled down like 400 feet at night.
Oh dear God!
and got to this guy. So he is going to manage our litter.
Right.
And that'll make sense here in a little bit.
And take a look at this. If you look up in the top left-hand corner, you can just make out the shadow of the helicopter. And it's just, it's just the only reason I put this up here is to try and give you perspective to what they were dealing with. And again, this is probably a little bit higher up looking down. And then this is where they were at the top, where the rescuers were.
So now is a picture of the cliff looking up, and you can see the rescuers. And then, obviously they're pretty tiny. And then you were going to back out, I think. So I hate putting pictures up. I'm sorry. There's 99.9% are audio only. Go to so there I was.us/episode/182. And you'll see or even 181. These pictures will probably be up on both.
Here's the perspective that I will try to share. And that is, to me, it looks like the individual they're trying to rescue is sitting at the bottom of a cliff that is effectively like being at the bottom of the Empire State Building. And then the rest of these people being up at the top, and they're now having to figure out how they're going to get into this wall. That is, anyways. You don't even need to hear me talk about it because we're going to let
needle by dropping that hoist in there.
Dude, I like hearing about it, man. It sounds like a fucking cool story.
Yeah.
So the area where I'd pull back a little bit for those who think that this guy is right above terra firma, where he can just kind of go another 20 feet and be on the ground. Now he's got another 300 feet, give or take, to go from where he's at in his ledge. So that's his little bird's nest right there. So he came down several hundred feet, and he's still got several hundred to go. So that's when we came in. Now, if we weren't able to accomplish this mission, which kind of long story short, we did facilitate this extraction, did get a nice award out of this, and you could not have done it without the teamwork that went into it and the training that we used for it. What's interesting
only imagine the terror.
I would say teamwork, and there's at least 4 calls I can recall, and this was my first one like this, where your blade is off the wall. And I don't mean like it's 20 feet off the wall. I mean your blade is, if somebody does something wrong here, or we scoot closer, or I lose focus, in a few feet we will have a strike, and we're all going to be done with this mission really quick. So that game comes into what am I looking at versus what is the rescue specialist or my spotter? What's he looking at? Remember when we talked, though, about the fixed line to the belly?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where is that rope connected relative to the aircraft? Is it connected to the outside portions of the skids, or is it connected to somewhere in the center?
Yeah, right.
So it's right in the center. Where do I need it to be connected?
About
30 feet to your right.
I need something, not this.
Yeah.
So that's where, when you're talking about hoist, right? Yeah. That brings in another measure, because I have an extraction where we were able to insert the repeller from 100 plus feet, and the repeller was able to facilitate getting on the landing. And it was a landing just big enough for this guy to sit on with a compound open fracture.
Yeah.
The repeller grabbed a tree and was able to rappel with the device while holding onto the tree and pulling himself in to the landing. When we came back to facilitate the extraction, remember how I told you that there were a few times? This was another time where I could not get the blade any closer beyond my comfort level. Now, guys, right. I'm not saying I'm the master of this, but at 6,000 hours, if I'm saying I don't have room, I don't have the room. So that's where, in this case, we literally...
I'll take your word for it, okay?
Yeah. So, teamwork always works great in the aircraft. We'll take it every day.
Absolutely.
But we couldn't get the ball to our rescuer on the landing. So he had the open fracture splinted and ready for extraction. But because, remember where the hook is connected? Yeah. Remember where the rappel point is connected? So the repeller had just enough space to grab the tree. But because the belly was connected, the hook was connected to the center of the aircraft, we could not sling that capture ball far enough to do a grab off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we called in at the time Border Patrol. I believe it was Border Patrol that used a UH-60. Now, and keep this in mind, I told them during the in brief for this, I said, look, guys, this is a tight spot. And like, I ain't throwing shade. I'm no super pilot, but like, this is a tight spot. And they kind of gave us this look like, yeah. But when they came back on debrief, and I'm not kidding, because they got cable rub.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know what cable rub is, that's when that hoist cable is extended and it goes into a fixed item, whether it's a tree branch or a rock or a car, but it rubs against something. And they did get rub against a freaking granite mountain. So take that for what it's worth. That's how close they were with the hoist.
Yeah.
But when they came back, they were white. And I don't mean like Caucasian, middle income white. I mean, like they're freaking albino
they were
white.
Latinos when they went in. They came out white. It was that close.
And like, again, this may have been, like we all eventually get to that call. It's going to be that call where we're like, I've never done this before. Can I do this? Yeah. And I think they were. I honestly think their cockpit went something like this. Do you think we can do it? I don't know. I think we can get this done. Do you think we can do it? I feel pretty good about it. How do you feel in the back? I think we can get this. There was a whole lot of, I bet that's what that cockpit sounded like.
How close were you to not being able to even get the repeller back out? I mean, that sounds like you were, he was able to grab a tree and get in, and now he's in a fecal sandwich too.
That's the problem. At that point, we were ready to go into plan C. If the 60 couldn't
drop him some rope and say, see you.
No. Start the up down insertion of a rescue extraction team up top and do a letdown.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. Okay. We're not going to, it's a lot easier to let that bag of meat go low than it is to try and pull that guy up and extract him off of a pinnacle.
Yeah. Use gravity.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Try to get some rope in so he could then rappel down from there further down. But
keep in mind, the medic, I don't want him necessarily on the extraction at that point because he's been with the patient. Yeah. I'm not going to manage your scene, but I would prefer like some fresh eyes and fresh meat get in there and start bouncing ideas and take that scene, that person who's in there. And as it happened, the person who went in was literally one of our most experienced medics with GPS. So I had zero concern. So when I found out he had to grab a tree to rappel in, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? But
we need to have a conversation.
This is a tree. And for those who haven't grasped this in your vision yet, the way I'm understanding it, this is like a tree poking out of the side of the damn cliff.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not a
Yeah.
This is the only way to get close, well-rooted into the cliff.
This isn't an anchor point to go rappelling from.
This is correct. So and I'm definitely not throwing shade to that medic, dude. If I ever got hurt or anything and needed a medic, I want him.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know what it took to get him in there. So when I found out, and I'm like, what? How are we going to fucking get you out?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this can turn into a problem. So Plan B being the UH-60, Plan C being ground-based letdown system.
Hey, boss, we got the medic into the site, no problem.
Can't get
you
him
want
out.
me to bring him back? Oh. Sorry about that. I didn't know that was part of the mission.
and that, that takes into account, anytime I ever put my swimmer out, I put my swimmer out with the mindset of, how am I going to get them back? What's the plan to get them back? And if plan A doesn't work, what's plan B? What's plan C? And there was one time, and I talked about this, there was one time where I left my rescue swimmer on scene.
Yeah.
And,
Whoops.
Whoops. And that's, I wrote his position down in about 5 different places, had about every crew member write it down in about 3 or 4 different places. There was no way in hell I was getting back without having them saying, "Oh, I don't know where I put it." That was not going to be me.
So one of the things, and I'd actually go into that's a good training scenario, is when you're training a new pilot, have them insert a team member and then say, hey, simulation, we are now bingo fuel. What do we do? Well, the very first thing I want to hear that guy, but even before I let him know we're bingo, that we're running low on fuel, I want to hear him say, I'm going to go ahead and transmit lat long location to radio so they know proximal. Right. So if we had to go in for an extraction, or if my engine's quit, we can actually facilitate that extraction relatively simply, And Dizzy, you're absolutely right, man. Deep root system? Nope, not on a rock. So that's the thing. So the nice thing is when he did put that pressure on it, we found out that there's enough to take his body weight. But man, when we're coming up with 2 people. That's twice as heavy. Root structure may not work for you. So if you think you're going to hold on to it, you may not. That thing may give way. Next thing you know, you're freaking penduluming right next to a rock wall.
Yeah,
so you just put yourself and your patient into a rock wall because you didn't think this one through. So good point, Dizzy. And that's the type of stuff, like, it's an excellent question. That's not a beginner's question. That's what you're talking about. And when you're in the middle of some of these
missions, that tree is going to hold.
Yeah. Like, you're going to pendulum after this. What's the plan? Well, when I peel you off the wall, I need a forward and left. On the count of 5, I need a forward and left, and I need it all you've got, and I need you to maintain a forward speed, not beyond 30 knots. Get me up to 30 knots away from the wall, and I'll let you know when the load is stable.
Yeah, and that's where having that the systems operator in the back.
Yep.
And the forward speed will stabilize the load. What
it'll do, the litter's going to fly a little bit behind center, but what that forward speed will do is it'll bring it down into center of gravity, and it'll just hang generally like a dinner plate. Now, as you slow speed or induce lateral movement, left or right movement in the aircraft, what you may see as you slow speeds down, you may get not an oscillation, but a pendulum.
Pendulum, yeah.
But again, this is where DPS allows you enough time. You should know how to mitigate a pendulum as a long line pilot. Every long line pilot knows how to mitigate a pendulum pretty freaking quick. And you're not just going to jump into this mission without training. You have to be released from DPS, and you have to go on a check ride. So this is something you have to demonstrate the ability to do. And it's just that you will eventually get to a point or a mission where, holy shit, like, I've never seen this. I'm being challenged.
Yeah.
Either,
Do you train with like crash test dummies or anything like that out on a litter? Or
not with anything that measures gravitational force.
Okay.
For instance, like if we're doing, this is a fall, and we were to drop Rescue Randy, we have no measurement systems to show, like, yes, he would have.
I'm sorry. What I'm asking is, like, do you in the litter so that you can learn to mitigate that? Are you in actual conditions? You're mitigating that pendulum moment on the aircraft, or?
Yes.
Or do you put a live EMT out there and go, hang on, buddy, we're training.
So we don't do it that way. Okay. We use
how do you learn?
So concrete blocks, and then when we're anywhere up to 300 pounder that we do have a 500 pound seasoning block, but we don't use that for short haul. Okay. That's a lead block that we use solely for seasoning for the cable. And seasoning is essentially once the cable has been inspected, it's been stretched out with no weight whatsoever on it. So you've got 287 feet of slack fishing line that you need to tighten up. So seasoning is when you'll essentially go out and extend that full cable all the way out, and then you'll connect a block to that cable, and then you'll lift the block up, and you'll let that rope get nice and stretched, and then you'll coordinate the lowering of the aircraft with cabling in of that 500 pound block. And what you're doing is making the tightest drum that you can on that hoist drum inside, so that you don't get a miswrap or you don't get a cable foul.
Okay. Yep.
And that's what that is. But we don't, interesting enough, the guys that are going to hoist capable platforms, not everybody is also learning how to short haul. So you guys might see where we're starting to get into the mixed mechanics of this.
Sure.
So this is a win, though. It can be a win and it can be a lose. If I need that aircraft and had to put out a call specifically for that, and could I think of anything right now, I can think of it immediately. Fire suppression, hasty fire suppression. I'm not going to put a bucket on a 429 right now. They're still working through issues with double hooks and things like that. But I can easily do a hasty deployment with Bambi bucket and go into a fire suppression system with a 407 and one pilot. All I need is a safety back at the drop point where I'm going to be picking up my water. He's going to be managing loads, and we're going to be talking back and forth. This is perfect. So that's basically, they're stretching that plasma line, 150-foot plasma line, and they're connecting a pumpkin to it. Sorry, they're connecting a Bambi bucket to it.
Okay.
The guy in the black shirt has a control head, like it's a big metal thing that he's holding. That's the control head at the top of that Bambi bucket. And that is connected through that orange rope that's fully extended out, that's snaked out.
Okay.
That's connected via an electrical line that's connected to the electrical system of the helicopter. So when you push a button, it will actually open the device of that big metal thing he's holding, and it will open the Bambi bucket. And that's how your water is released. So what you'll do is everybody right now is working to set up for the the function check prior to a deployment. But if you look back in the back, you'll see a yellow hook, and you see that orange line is connected to it. Then it's snaked out. Then you'll see the control head and all those little cables. That's all part of the Bambi bucket. And then what he's doing, that other guy was doing looks like he was being taught, the one on the right-hand side with the helmet. It looks like he's being taught the function checks. So there are 3 checks that you do need to do. And when you push a button, it should release that Bambi bucket. And that cable should open up. And at that point, it'll do an extension on that cable and allow that Bambi bucket to open up. That's a check that you want to do for the control head, right?
Okay.
That big metal box that one guy's got. Okay. But you still have other checks. You need to make sure that you can punch that bucket if you want to off the belly and dump that plasma line in Bambi bucket. So you have those checks you need to do as well. That's a Bambi bucket choked out. You can see that it's choked. You can see that bucket's a little bit smaller. It doesn't look like it's all big and fat and happy like most Bambi buckets are. And he's dipping out of a pumpkin. So that thing's a full pumpkin. You can tell because see how the bumper around it up
looks
top?
like a soft-sided swimming pool that bulges out at the side, yeah.
And the thing is, like, in between dips, if you've got the time, you want to rinse off.
There you go.
But you better get out of the
Get
way
some
when
of
we
that
come
Arizona
back.
talc off of you.
That was a beautiful image in the back, though, of the Arizona mountains and the pumpkin and the bucket. Yeah. But when you choke a bucket,
those pictures will be up on our website. With these
it says a lot in there.
Yeah.
Choking, it's just making it smaller. That bucket normally is about 108 gallon, give or take. And when you choke it, you basically, inside the bucket, you actually squeeze it down to a smaller and smaller amount so that you can actually accomplish the mission for power management purposes. Yep. So if you had to choke it, you need to show that you needed to actually make that bucket smaller.
Sure.
So, question for like, so with your Army, with your prior Army training, you did not do any like short haul. In the Coast Guard and Navy, we refer to it as sling loading.
Yeah, slinging. Okay. Yeah, didn't do any of it.
Didn't do any of that. Okay.
No, the 58 Delta is a scout attack platform. Yep. So the munition systems on it are AGM-114s, Hellfire missile, 2.5 pounds explosive. It could take 2 on one side. That it didn't do the larger loads like the 64 did, but it could also take the 275 rocket system. And it could take the 50 cal machine gun, left side only. Yep. But you could also fire a Stinger from it, which I thought, a little unrealistic, trying to capture a freaking 6th generation jet out there with a fucking Stinger and a 58 Delta. But hey, man, I bet it looks cool in the video game.
To me, it just seems like the 58 Delta is going to be thrown off. It's going to be more affected by the Stinger than the Stinger is.
Dude, I'm going with this. I'm going with a full blown broken arrow at this point. The base is under attack.
Yeah, there you go.
Launch the 58 Delta so that we can put a fucking Stinger missile on that.
Exactly.
On that Su-25.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with. I think we're screwed.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Well, man, we've been going about 90 minutes here. So what I'd like to do is circle back to you're staring at the rock wall and out of power.
Very cool. And I do want to mention this to you guys. I didn't talk about this mission with Quinny. Oh. And well, the reason I didn't talk about it is at the time of the mission, it was a hot plate, and the last thing I wanted, because he just wanted to, he wanted to talk with me, and I'm like, I'm only one of 3, man. But I didn't want to sit in on that 3-member debrief of this hoist because, and the reason I didn't was because there was only one person, in my opinion, who literally saw more and I thought was more valuable, and that was the systems operator. I mean, the systems operator, he just fucking killed it on that. And it was, and I am not banging my chest, but it is a picture perfect vertical surface pickoff. So if you want a training video, use it. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I've got 7-8 years of hoisting. The team that we had that day was great. So here's the call for ran out of power and why. We facilitated a mission that was up north. So we were in Payson when this call dropped out. And this call was all the way down by Oro Valley. So God, we're talking about a 45, 50-minute flight, and I still need to get gas en route. The good thing is we were fully mission capable, so I had 2 good medics on board. We're doing the math, looking at it, and we're just getting ready to get a really good pie out of Payson, out of the FBO right there. They make the best pies. But being a pilot, you got to know this stuff. So we start heading to go get this guy, and the call dropped out as 2 hikers Spider-Manning in the Catalinas. And it's like, yeah. You know, I mean, we've heard it before. You're never going to freaking know until you like, oh shit, 2 men Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Catalinas, fuck. Why didn't you tell us? So we started heading down. We did have to take gas en route. So we took a bag, and I'm trying to do the mathematics of what's the heaviest I want to be when we actually get onto the extraction point. We're going to have to come up with 2, right? Because your V-surf pickoffs, they look like this. I've got a guy that's essentially held into a wall. He's either facing it forward or he's facing away from it, but he cannot move. He's stuck. So what we have to do is, without the rotor wash affecting the patient, so you have to be high enough.
Okay.
You want to be able to get over that and do an assessment. Can I get the aircraft relative to the hoist? Can I get that aircraft into that area enough where I can actually put positive pressure with the wall so that my rescuer can come in with a strop and make that capture, cinch him, and they both come up together on the hook, and we kind of back up away from the wall. But when you pull in initially, you want to see that, what does this look like running dry, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to position over. We're going to pick our altitudes. I'm going to pick my references. The systems operator is going to tell me what he needs relative to parking for a successful mission. The rescue specialist has to confirm that they're comfortable with this mission. We're not going down unless everybody's a go. And I think that's generally the same in practically every rescue platform.
Yeah.
But it'd be stupid if it wasn't. But when we eventually got overhead and in position, we're looking at it and we're like, crap, man, this is going to be a freaking 230 foot of cable out of 278 into this wall. And oh, by the way, it's midday, so the winds are coming up canyon. And when we got over for the first extraction, we're cabling out as I'm scooting in. So you're just scooting in really slow, and your systems operator, when you go back and you actually watch this, because you can watch this whole extraction on Instagram, you'll hear the systems operator say essentially forward and right 20, forward and right 15, 12, 10. But while he's doing that, he's also telling me 100 feet of cable, 130 feet of cable, 145 feet of cable. And he's letting me know where the cable's at relative to how much is fed out of the system.
Okay.
So the systems operator now is driving this aircraft. All I'm doing is shaking the sticks to get it to where he wants it. Okay. So I'm his pilot. So as he's telling me forward and right, or back and left, or easy right, all I'm doing is just moving the stick ever so slight to get it to where he wants it for his perfect position for his hoist. This is his hoist. So on the first one in, we were able to extract the first person, the more compromised of the 2. And we did that via a capture strap, picked him up off of the mountain, and then took him back to the LZ that was just immediately behind us by about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile. Okay. So we kept the cable fully extended. You don't want to bring that litter up to the skid, because then you're going to relieve the captured pressure. That capture strap comes around almost like a Band-Aid, and it grabs and it holds you. So if I relieve that pressure, I'm taking that captured pressure and putting slack in that chest seal, right? Okay. So I'm allowing that capture device to actually open up a little bit, at which point you could actually lose your litter, you could lose your patient. So so you want to keep that positive pressure applied, so you keep the cable extended. So we went, I think it's 270 feet is how far we cabled out. I didn't want to get too low. Part of this was potential for engine loss. The other part is winds and how the winds are playing down there in the canyon, because they're pushing the aircraft up, and I don't want it I want the aircraft to stay at a spot. The first one went off without a hitch. The second one, when we went to extract the second person that was pinned into the wall, as I'm positioning in and the nose is off the wall and I'm scooting into that easy forward 5, 4, 3, I run out of power. And I hit a transient limit with a rescuer on the skid, and the systems operator actually has him on the cable, but still with an Orca, like another fall restraint system. He has him connected to the Orca. So as I'm peeling away, God, I don't even remember. Oh, abort. That was it. And that's how much time he had to like suck into the skid. And I'm like, you got the extended version. So when we peeled around, we lost a little bit of altitude. And this time I came in a little bit higher so that wind that was heating up the ground wouldn't eat up that lift in the system, and it wouldn't give me any surprises. So I had to do that next one a little bit higher because the winds changed just enough to make me have to deviate a little bit from my initial references. We extracted the second one, though. Dude, during the extraction on the second one, though, you can hear it in the tape. The systems operator makes the announcement, forward 3. And you'll hear me say, and like, that's where I was at. Keep in mind, this was my last flight with DPS, by the way, my last shift.
Oh.
Of course it was.
Going out with a bang.
It was almost your last flight.
Keep that in mind. And it's important because when I made this statement, it might matter, considering some of the other calls you've already heard us talk about. Yeah. But when I announced to the systems operator, I don't have it. I don't have 3 feet. That's where we were at with this call. And at that point, the rescuer was able to actually facilitate extraction of the second victim. And we went away from that unscathed with a total hoist height of 270 feet with 2 extracted. And they threw it up on Instagram, and obviously it got some attention.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How many? It's a 2-part question. How much does a new collective cost, and how many degrees did you bend that ever?
I remember when I had brown hair. I remember when I had hair.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Like, I swear to Christ, the Grand Canyon, man.
The question I've got to ask you is, like, how do you, what size wheelbarrow do you need to carry around your unfeasibly large testicles? Because, for the love of God, man, that is just,
That's funny.
Just saying.
Dude, I want that as a patch. I would put that on my helmet.
We will arrange that for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's...
As Dizzy said, you were almost going out with style there, so that's not the kind of style you want to go out with.
Yeah, fuck Dizzy.
Yeah. But again, you successfully accomplished this mission and did so safely, and everybody came back, and that didn't happen by accident.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely right. Fantastic. And just the mere ability that we can go train, and we can train to those levels. That's the money shot, man. Fucking all day long.
Yeah,
so by all means. So for those
way to end a career.
And I'm not kidding. That was my last flight with DPS.
That's wild.
I did my neck over the course of 30 years, though, man. My neck did get all fucking jacked, like with most guys that wear NVGs for that long. Yeah. But for those that are curious, like, I'm not sitting on a ridiculous high time, but it's about 3,000 give or take of NVG. But between that and the vertical reference flying, that neck positioning, because anytime as a LE pilot, think about, let's say that you're watching a pursuit, right? Well, this is a mobile, moving, living thing. As a pilot, helicopter pilot, you're going to be continually looking down and right, and you're going to be anticipating the moves of that vehicle or motorcycle on the ground. So you may slow down, speed up, whatever, take a right turn, take a left turn, but you're always looking down and right, whether it's a warrant service for a SWAT call or a pursuit, or you're searching for somebody, because when you're searching, you're always looking down and right, as a pilot.
Right.
And it almost sounds like a Dos Gringos song.
A Dos Gringos song. I'm always looking right. Ballad of Thunderbird 2.
All right. Well, I think we need to start thinking about landing the plane as much as I'd love
to keep going, yeah.
I have been in my friggin' element,
Yeah.
This is I've had to listen to these guys talk jet jock stories, and for once I not only got a helo bubba, but I got somebody who does hoists.
A hoister.
Yeah.
So I speak your language, man. So
Yeah, very cool.
this has just been the best friggin' afternoon for me, and especially
You guys are a blast to talk with, man. And the questions are like, repeat, you're asking some of these questions that are like, these are advanced. Like they're great.
I'm just curious mind, and we stumbled backwards into this aviation podcast thing, and it's like, oh damn, this is so interesting. So everybody go I think so anyway, and everybody else listening should think so. So go take hostages and make them listen. No hostages. Share the show.
Hey, what can I ask? Are they? What does Dizzy do?
Dizzy, he says he was a spark chaser too. Mostly he has no sense of financial responsibility, and he gives us money, and he's a relentless and wonderful
listener,
listener, audience member, and contributor to this. So, yeah.
I never met the guy, but shout out to you, Dizzy. You asked some great questions, man.
I'd like to first start off by thanking all of our veterans, our first responders and their families, as well as Double D. Man, this has been some amazing stories. I sincerely thank you for your service, both in the Army and to the state of Arizona.
Right.
There are truly people who are alive right now that wouldn't have been were it not for your actions.
Amen. All right. And we need to thank Dave Hamilton over at backbeatmedia.com, who handles our advertising online. Thank you, Dave.
Yep, absolutely. And we also need to say thank you to Patreon, all of our Patreon subscribers and donors who have lost all sense of judgment and common sense and have kindly given us their money. This show is coming to you without a sponsor, so really this show is coming to you in large part to those sponsors on Patreon.
So thereiwas.us/Patreon or thereiwas.us/donate if you want to direct donate to us. And I'm actually going to try and set up a Venmo, I think, so that they don't even get to take a 3% or 5% cut over those sites. But we'll see about that in the near future. Hey, don't forget the merch store while you're at it. So thereiwas.us/merch. We got koozies, hats, mugs. Man, it's getting close to getting colder in the northern hemisphere. We have a hoodie that you will absolutely love. I love mine. It's warm. I wear it to the hockey games. It's really nice. It's got the cool show logo on the front, the Harriers and the Attack on the back that Sticks designed for us. So thank you for that, Sticks. And for those that aren't into hoodie season, it's bikini season in the southern hemisphere. Go get yourself a bikini. Do it now.
There you go. And also, let's not forget to give us a rating. 5-star rating would be great. If you can't give us a 5-star, let us know what we need to do to get that 5-star rating. We are trainable. Some of us more so than others, but
Sticks and Fig are, but
yeah. So thereiwas.us/rate.
Indeed. Yep. And thanks to you, Sticks, for sitting in last week and this week as a co-host, and for the production work that you do. You and Bago both deeply appreciate that. That's a big help. And also, of course, to none other than Badass, who does let us use his amazing photography. It looks like art. It's just art.
It is. It's fantastic.
BDSaviationphotography.com. Go look at some of the things he's done. It's extraordinary. And order from him. Pay Badass money and get some of his photos. Frame them, put them on the wall. People will be impressed with your taste in aviation art.
And I also want to call out quick plug for Quinny over at The Real Rescue. Without him, we wouldn't have gotten Daryl here with us.
And Dizzy writes on the comments, he's now higher ed teaching sparks. So he's teaching guys how to chase electrons around the planet.
There we go.
So very cool. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dizzy, man. We appreciate all your loyalty. 2 other thank yous. I think we need Sticks, but they escape me at the moment.
those Gringos,
Both of them.
the two white dudes.
That's how it translates.
Yep. They were, actually Latino, but then became white when they went on Daryl's helicopter.
Right. There you go. All right, everybody. Until next week, stay safe. Don't sit on the collective. Don't do it.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
It's what?
He said it's over.
Oh. So this is what those rescues definitely weren't.
Piece of cake. Cake.
We're
Out.